What can the righteous do?
The rebuilding of America's Christian foundation and its superstructure of individual freedom begins in the homes of American Christians, with the adults of this generation putting a stop to the ignorance of America's Christian history. The rebuilding does not begin in the legislative halls of our states or of the nation.
Each individual, if he wants to be free, must start with himself. He must start first by understanding God's principles of self-government, because a people who are not self-governed will have to be governed externally.
Well, in America today, we are experiencing the blessings of God that He's been able to give us through the faithfulness of the generations that came before us. And yet, we live in a day when as Christians we have not thought through biblically the principles that our history tells us and that the Scriptures tell us for our nation. And so literally we are in a time when we have the letter of the law without the spirit. In a sense that we have the letter because we have our Constitution, we have our Declaration of Independence. And this is the letter of the law. And we know the letter kills, but the spirit gives life. So as we look at our nation, we can see how our Constitution is being interpreted in a way that would bring death and not life. And so as Christians, the challenge that God has set before us at this time is the resurrection or the restoration of a Christian nation that has fallen. We have to see that breath that will say to the dry bones, arise. And this is the task God's called us to. And what encourages me is this is a task that has never been accomplished before in history. We have seen a nation, a Christian nation, arise, and now we have seen it decline. But there's never been a great nation that has risen again. And it's my conviction that God has a purpose for our nation to rise again, and if He didn't, He wouldn't have called us to this task He's given us.